Hello, my name is Ryan Hood, and this is my population level health education intervention presentation. Introduction. The two related health problems or issues that are addressed by this project are lack of adequate nutrition and untreated abscesses among the homeless intravenous drug using IVDU population of the San Francisco Bay Area. The intervention for adequate nutrition will be to provide nutritious soup for this population, as well as education on the importance of eating daily nutritious meals and where to acquire said meals for free. The intervention for untreated abscesses will be to provide abscess care kits and education on how to use them in order to perform self-care of the abscesses. Background and significance. San Francisco has the second highest rate of homelessness in America at 795 people per 100,000 residents. Reference. People who are homeless are likely to have a nutritionally deficient diet. Reference. Heroin treatment admissions increased 1%, and methamphetamine treatment admissions rose 10% from 2012 to 2014. That's for Cleghorn for your reference. And IV drug users have a much higher incidence of abscesses, both internal and external, with the reference. My Healthy People 2020 objectives. For substance abuse, the screening and treatment objective SA8. Increase the proportion of persons who need alcohol and or illicit drug treatment and receive specialty treatment for abuse or dependence in the past year, with the reference of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And the nutritional and weight status is NWS 8. Increase the proportion of adults who are at a healthy weight. Reference the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, 2014. My needs assessment. The condition-specific needs are that clients with abscesses from IV drug use need the education and supplies necessary to self-care for those abscesses. My population-specific needs are that homeless clients need access to free, nutritious food. My theoretical framework is the pre-seed, proceed model. The needs were determined via verbal interviews with community members, such as the homeless IV drug users, and stakeholders, such as police captains and needle exchange workers. The theoretical framework model, pre-seed. Pre-seed, proceed guided the project by determining what needed to be done and how to do it. Phase 1. Defining the ultimate outcome, to increase knowledge of health issues in individuals from the underserved community. Phase 2, identifying the issue, their behavioral, lifestyle, and environmental factors that increase the vulnerability of this population to health disparities. Phase 3, examining the factors that influence behavior, lifestyle, and responses to the environment. Reinforcing factors that tend to make individuals more likely to engage in IV drug use include opiate addiction, the availability of opiates, and the opportunity to use prostitution as a means of funding drug use. Phase 4, identifying best practices and other sources of guidance or intervention design, as well as administrative, regulation, and policy issues that can influence the implementation of the program or intervention. In collaboration with community volunteers and using donated resources, supplies were acquired and a suitable location was secured. Thankfully, the San Francisco AIDS Project was willing to donate several hundred clean needles, and because it came from a program that was contracted with the city of San Francisco, it was therefore legal to provide those to the needy populations. The theoretical framework model, proceed. Phase 5, implementation. Set up flyers for the soup kitchen, like the one you see at the start of this presentation. Place abscess care instruction pamphlets into a Ziploc baggie with the abscess care supplies, and distribute the baggies. Phase 6, process evaluation. The date scheduled for November 28, 2016, volunteers were recruited to lead the kitchen and clothing emporium, while the RN assumed leadership role over the needle exchange and abscess care, as well as instruction on where to find daily soup kitchens. Phase 7, impact evaluation. 100% of the participants demonstrated willingness to improve their nutritional status by eating the provided food and were able to verbally report the location of a soup kitchen where they could get another nutritious daily meal. 100% of the participants with abscesses accepted an abscess care package and listened to their registered nurse explain the proper use of the supplies. Unfortunately, 0% of the participants provided a live demonstration of abscess care related to being cold, dark, and crowded on the sidewalk where this event took place. I'll have to fix that for next time. Phase 8, Outcome Evaluation. The ultimate outcome, defined as increasing the community's knowledge on nutrition and abscess wound care, was a success, in that 100% of the homeless IV drug-using attendees are able to report a plan for one free nutritious meal per day, and 100% of the participants with abscesses received wound care supplies and education. The issues in education and practice. There are specific behaviors that must be acquired or strengthened to reduce the effect of the problem, including spending resources on food instead of drugs and only using sterile needles for IV drug use. Information, resources, and skills a person must have to be able to behave in this new way include knowledge on how to get free food and free sterile needles. These can be acquired at free soup kitchens and free needle exchanges. Nursing, health, and community services necessary to effect change include volunteers hosting a pop-up soup kitchen, needle exchange, and clothing emporium, the organization of which can be accomplished via social media. In our case, we used Facebook. I would encourage you to type in the following Facebook address and check out the event. That's how we organized it. It's open to anyone who wanted to volunteer. And you can like us and stay tuned because we might be coming to an area near you next time. Intervention. Hosting the pop-up soup kitchen, needle exchange, and clothing emporium addresses the identified health-related problem and meets the Healthy People 2020 objectives of adequate nutrition and treatment for substance abuse directly by providing the needed nutrition and harm reduction supplies. Based on learning theory, educational techniques and formats that will be most relevant for the participants include direct demonstration of nutritious meals, harm reduction, and abscess care, as well as pamphlet handouts for other locations that regularly provide these services. Specifically, the participants were taught where to get free meals and how to perform self-care for their abscesses via one-to-one verbal instruction and pamphlet handouts. Budget and logistics. Funding for the project relied on a $40 donation from the RN for food and a $50 donation from the RN's mother for abscess care supplies. Thanks, Mom. A large donation of all other food, clothing, blankets, sleeping mats, and toiletry supplies were obtained via direct donation from the RN's Music Festival campmates and extended hippie community members. The community was willing to bear $90 total in cost, with most organizational and logistical support being provided by the RN and a volunteer via Facebook. It helps that she's my best friend. Organizational training is not needed, and no salaries were paid, as this is a volunteer-only event. Project evaluation and the outcome measurement. The goals and objectives for this project were to provide education on the importance of adequate nutrition and how to obtain it for free, as well as how to perform self-care on abscesses among the homeless intravenous drug-using populations of the San Francisco Bay Area, while also providing direct action to meet their immediate nutritional and abscess care needs. The success or failure of my intervention is measured on the amount of participants served and the ability to self-report where to obtain further free nutrition and abscess care. Verbal confirmation at the time of the evaluation could be used to measure the success of the short-term goals, and the healthier BMI and healing of abscesses could be used to measure the success of the long-term goals. Results and conclusions. The main points of this presentation is that an RN trained in population-level health interventions organized over 30 volunteers to collect food, clothing, blankets, and personal care items to be offered to the homeless IV drug-using population of San Francisco while the RN simultaneously ran a needle exchange and abscess care booth and provided nutrition and wound care education to these consumers. Feeding the participants before teaching them was important because hunger interferes with learning. Reference. Weaknesses in the project were, well, there were so many people who came, like flooding us, we had no way of counting them. Like I was so busy over here working the needle exchange, helping people with their stuff. I had barely any idea what was going on with Clothing Emporium. Fortunately, the kitchen was right to my right side, so I could still oversee the nutritional aspect of the project. I'm guessing there was like 100, maybe 150 people there. Other problems included a couple of behavioral outbursts from some of the population that we served. There was supposed to be a line, didn't really work out that way. There was a street light to our right, and I let that be used by the people doing the Clothing Emporium. There wasn't a whole lot of street light left because then there was a tree right in front of us. I had my camping lanterns that I hung up on the tree branches, and that helped out the kitchen see what they were doing. But over in my left-hand corner where I was running the needle exchange and abscess care, there was barely any light. Fortunately, I had a headlamp on. That was like all the headlight I got pretty much. For future projects, the next pop-up soup kitchen, Clothing Emporium, and needle exchange will be held on the sidewalk adjacent to a park so that the crowd does not spill into the street. More tables will be brought to keep the donation items off the ground. In this case, we actually had to spread out one of the blankets on the ground in order to pack more stuff on there. We had, about 20 different bags full of clothing and blanket donations. It was amazing. The community really came through with this. And all volunteers will be provided a $1 headlamp that I saw from Walmart so that everyone can see better in the dark. References. The drug abuse patterns and trends in the San Francisco Bay Area from the U.S. National Institute on Drug Abuse Division of Epidemiology Services and Prevention Research by Ms. Leghorn. Then we've got Infective Endocarditis in an Intravenous Drug User by Forensic Science, Medicine, and Pathology, published 2015. Nutrition in the Homeless, The Underestimated Challenge by Nutrition Research Reviews, published 2016. Then there's a news article where the data shows that San Francisco has the second highest homeless population in the U.S. That's from abc7news.com. Then there's the Healthy People 2020 references from the United States Department of Health and Human Services. There's substance abuse and nutrition and weight status. And then finally, there's differential effects of hunger and satiety on the insular cortex and hypothalamic functional connectivity, which is published in the European Journal of Neuroscience in 2016. So on the left-hand side, you can see me setting up. I got a big giant sharps container, which was donated by the SF AIDS Foundation. Turns out none of the people who passed by the street brought dirty needles with them. That entire huge sharps container just came home empty with me. But yeah, I ended up giving out about 600 or so needles. And then on the right-hand side, that's a picture I was able to take as quick as I could while I was trying to take care of the kitchen and the needle exchange and the abscess care. So that is most of that crowd is crowded around the Clothing Emporium. These pictures were taken by someone else and posted on Facebook. Those are my best friends, Jen and Julianne. They are cooking the food. That's my camp kitchen. We go to festivals together. Then they've got all sorts of food ready to go out there. Then next to them is the personal items and toiletries. Anywhere from we had condoms, we had tampons, we had soap, we had baby wipes, anything and everything, toothbrushes, razors, toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, body lotion, anything that you might need in your bathroom if you don't have a bathroom but you live in a tent. And then you can barely see the light from my headlamp, me on the far end there. Then you also see the my camping lights hanging above the tree. And then this picture on the right, that's right before we said, okay, you can come and look at our stuff now. So you can see those blue mats that were donated by a kindergarten teacher so that people would be able to take naps better in their tents that are pitched on the sidewalk. Piles and piles of sweaters and jackets and blankets and all sorts of great stuff that the people were really grateful for. And then on the left-hand side, another shot of the kitchen area and personal items. And there's the needle change in the back. And then on the right-hand side, one of the volunteers from the SF AIDS Foundation came to check out what we were doing, told us to keep up the good work. And then there's the clothing emporium, which is lots of warm clothes went out to the homeless that night. And thank you very much for listening to my presentation. The end.